Nice one. You will have noticed that John held the meeting in a quiet place where there was minimal disruption, established rapport with Yogi to make him feel comfortable, checked that Yogi was ready for assessment, agreed with Yogi on a time for the assessment, explained and described the assessment process and asked Yogi if he had any questions, completed the first page of the Tranzqual Assessment document so that all required details regarding the assessment were recorded, explained Yogi's rights to appeal, had Yogi check the information and sign the front cover of the Tranzqual Assessment document so as to prove that Yogi understood his right to appeal and that he agreed to the date and time of the assessment, checked if he needed any personal protection equipment or an induction for the assessment site, confirmed that he would be familiarising himself with Yogi's vehicle and the organisational procedures before the commencement of the assessment. And if this was an assessment where Yogi had to drive a vehicle, John would also have confirmed that Yogi was appropriately licensed and or endorsed to operate that vehicle and told Yogi to make sure he had his driver's license available with him during the assessment. Now let's look at how the assessment itself went. This is where John is going to have to use his observational and questioning skills to gather evidence. He's also going to have to know when to be quiet and listen to what Yogi's got to say. We also want to see him writing down the evidence, not just ticking it. Okay, let's roll.
Okay, Yogi, how's things?
Good job. Good to see you.
Yeah. You feel all primed up and ready to go?
Yep.
With the assessment?
Yep.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Just as I reiterated yesterday to you, that basically what I want to try and see is you doing your normal thing. All right. Generally, if people try and change their ways, that's usually where they make a mistake here and there, and they explain later on that they don't normally do it that way. So yeah, just do your normal thing with it. If you feel that you need to give any explanation about what you're doing, by all means do it, because it helps me out as well. Okay, I will maybe fire a few questions at you just to confirm different things as we go through, but generally speaking, just do your normal thing with it. You will see me jotting things down, as I mentioned earlier. Don't worry too much about that. That's simply for my records and for the assessment records. I'll try not to crowd you in any way. I'll stand back. If at any stage though you just want to ask a few questions on, to reiterate something or just get clarification, by all means just sing it. Right, we'll head off. What's the first check you normally do?
No, I'm going to have to tilt the cab so we can get into the oil
Okay.
and engine check. So.
All right.
Okay.
Excellent. There you go. Okay, Yogi, now we've got the cab up. What will you be checking now?
First thing's probably the oil. Pull the stick out and give it a wipe. And then just pull it out and check for, make sure it's between the add and fill mark. We've got sufficient oil in there, and just make sure that it's not discoloured, hasn't turned grey.
What would cause it to turn grey?
Water in the sump, water in the oil, probably from a blown head gasket or something like that. Okay. And also while we've got the cab up, we can have a look at the suspension as well.
Okay, what would you be looking for with the suspension?
Obvious damage. Look for cracked springs or cracked leaf springs. Have a look at the U-bolts, make sure they're secure. Okay, there's no one.
Okay, Yogi, we're just going to go through your cab drills now. What I'd like you to do is just take me through all those drills plus start the motor.
First two checks, make sure the park brake's on and the gear lever's in neutral.
Yep.
Just seat position, just the steering wheel if I need to. My truck, I don't need to do that. Just check my mirrors, make sure they haven't been put out of adjustment. Make sure there's nothing insecure in the cab that can get in the way, especially under my feet. And pretty much ready then to start.
Yep. So we'll just shut it down. Okay, normally with the engine running, what other checks would you make then?
Check to make sure that the air pressure gauges are building up pressure. Just make sure things like fuel gauge, water temperature gauge and stuff are working. And other than that, it's pretty much ready to roll.
Okay, if the oil pressure gauge doesn't go out, or the warning light doesn't go out, what would that mean?
If the oil pressure light won't go out, it means there's a good chance that there's no oil going to the motor, there's no pressure for the engine oil, so you turn the motor off straight away. Yeah.
Okay, and you do what from there?
Report it, get it sorted.
Okay.
And in here, John, I just checked to make sure we got the trailer hooked up properly.
Yep.
Okay, so just check to make sure that the adjuster screw's in the right place on the front of the turntable if it's got one. Make sure the release handle's fully home. Make sure there's no gap between the fifth wheel and the skid plate. And I do a tug test by hook up as well, so
Okay.
it should be pretty secure with a bit of luck.
If you've got the same trailer on for a few days running, do you still do tug tests? Or?
Well, it's part of the test,
Right.
part of the checks every morning.
Okay, no, that's good. All right. Okay, mate, just, yeah, everything seemed to go pretty well right there. Just one comment I want to make on your checking the couplings. You're checking the handles and all that, that's all sweet, but just as an extra safety measure, if you can just look underneath from the back of the tractor unit and just make sure the jaws are correctly closed around the kingpin.
Yep.